here on YouTube. So very quickly, give me a second, Facebook. So greetings, darling. Naima Singletary here, and today is going to be different than normal. So normally I'm here for the Power to Lead YouTube show, and today it's going to be different. Today, while sharing with you, I'm going to be primarily sharing here on Facebook inside of my private Facebook group called 5-Figure Clients for Melanin Messengers, and I'm actually very likely going to be changing that name. However, so just know that I'm going to be looking this way for most of today's show because I made an impromptu today decision to host this very special Facebook Live inside of this private group. And the name of it is called Big Money Leaps and Closing Sales for Anomaly Melanin Messengers. And I decided to do a double whammy and have it be for today's show. So today's show is going to be much longer than normal because I'm going to be here for as long as it takes and until I feel like it's complete. So that's what's up for my Facebook people. Hello. It's 9 in the evening for me here in Italia. And I had such a rich conversation with my mother this morning. She's in California, so she's 8 hours behind me, and she tried to catch me. And I was talking to her about who I'm here to serve. And so what I want to do is I want to give some background for those of you who are really, you might even just be hearing my voice for the first time, or you've just met me over the last month or two. And so I feel like I just want to give some context so people have some understanding of who I am and like, who is this woman? So I was talking to my mother this morning, and some epiphanies came to life because I'm really being forced to make a decision, and this is so good. I'm being forced to really look at who I'm serving and get so specific, compared to the generality and the ways that I've served over the last several years. And so I want to give some context to this Anomaly Melanin Messenger thing and where this came from and like how that relates to who I am and who I serve. So this morning, actually I had 2 conversations with my mom, and in the second conversation, I was sitting at the cafe here in Italy. There's one cafe here in town because I'm in a small village, and the owner walked in and started talking to me in English, and I was like, no inglese, because I told him yesterday that I'm going to force myself aggressively to learn Italian, and I told him, do not speak to me in English at all. So whenever we speak, we use Google Translate, or I ask them to slow down, and I'm like, para lentamente, which means speak slowly. Sto imparando l'italiana. I'm learning to speak Italian. Please speak slowly. And my mom, she reminded me about when I was in the 3rd grade, how fascinated I was with sign language and how, of my own volition, I would go and study sign language. And it was a reminder of how different I have been since I was young. And this is just one of many reminders. And this morning, and so I'm saying this so you could even wake up to what you have just been born as, that over the years you have been trained to neglect and deny and reject about yourself. And so as a young person, like 5, 6, 7 years old, and even before that, my mother told me I started walking when I was 7 months old. She told me whenever I was around other kids, I naturally stood out. And some of you may have even been bullied as children. And what I know now that I didn't know before is that bullied children are often gifted children, and the other children can smell that they're different. They see how you move different, you act different, you are different, and they punish you for that by bullying you, making fun of you. And bullying for me started in the fourth grade. If you can relate to what I'm talking about, please comment or give me a like, or, let me know that you're relating to what it is that I'm talking about. And when a child gets bullied, that can cause them to squeeze what they know. That can cause them to start to play small, to start to be afraid to be who they really are. And that's what happened for me. So bullying started for me in the fourth grade. It went into middle school, and I started to get bullied into middle school, and people would not like me for no reason. Like people I hadn't even met yet would not like me. And I just knew things too. I just knew things that weren't in books, things that nobody was talking about. And as a teenager, boys and men would call me crazy because I wasn't like the other girls, because I wasn't normal and just fucking around and aimless. And, as a teenager, I knew I was meant for grandness as a teenager. And keep in mind, I was born to a single mother who ended up giving birth to 2 more children. I'm the oldest. She ended up giving birth to 2 more children, and then she took in her sister's 2 children, my cousins. My aunt was on crack, so my mom took in her kids. So here my mom was a single mother raising 5 children. I was one of the 5. We lived in government housing until I was about 7 years old. And then we moved to subsidized housing until I was a teenager, and we moved out of the city, which was San Francisco. And so here I was, this unique, bright child in an environment where nobody could honor that, could nurture that, not even my mother. Like, she didn't even know. And many of you probably have been born to mothers who were unable to walk in her gifts. My mom is my mom is a poet. My mom is super smart. My mom has come up with ideas, gosh, and I could really get off into you being a descendant of Anomaly parents. Like your father, just because your father may have been on crack, or just because your mother gave birth to you when she was 18, she likely was born of a situation where her gifts were not acknowledged. See? And this is what I mean by you're the first. Was it last week or the week before? The theme on the YouTube show, for those of you who watch the YouTube show, the theme was be the first, be the first, be the first, because you actually are the first. You are a descendant of an Anomaly class who, unfortunately, because of the lineage, the acknowledgement wasn't there. The honoring of your gifts and your natural power has not been there. And so at some point, because when you're young, you fight for your position, right? 2-year-olds will whoop your ass, right? 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, they defend their position. They are fierce. And then by the time 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 rolls around, as they continue to get beat down, and told that your specialness is not special, whether directly or indirectly, you start to get quiet, right? You start to reject your own gifts. Is anybody relating to what it is that I'm talking about right now? Let me know. Give me a heart, give me a comment, give me a something. Right? So you were born this way. You were born this way. My mom is a poet. Like, my mom has come up with ideas, business ideas that she didn't do anything about. And 2-3 years later, we see somebody else rich off the idea. That has happened at least twice in my mother's lifetime. And so another thing that it has caused me, and that I had to overcome, and that perhaps you are in the process of either being required to overcome if you're truly going to birth your signature work, or be miserable and half lived for the rest of your life, is if you're in an environment like I was, government housing until I was 7 years old, subsidized housing, and around lower income, lower consciousness people for your formative years, from birth to 18 years old, it's easy. Like, it's easy to start to be like, oh yeah, I'm not that important. I'm not really that smart. I'm not really, anything special. Like these gifts I have, these knowings that I have, my ability to hear what people are not saying, my ability to look through people, my whatever the thing is, my ability to, right, fill in the blank, can cause you to start to get quiet, right? And then add on top of that whatever your personal trauma was. Like, I was sexually abused at 5 years old. What was your thing, right? Were you punched in your jaw for the first 7 years of your life? Were you raped? Were you fill in the blank, right? Did your father treat you like this? Did your grandma treat you like that? Did your mother do this? So you add that on top of whatever other shit that the world throws at you to tell you, shut up, you're not special, etc. And then by the time you get to 25 years old, you're done. Like, you're at the bottom of the barrel playing small until that thing in you just will not quit. It just will not quit. And so I'm gonna like go forward and come back. So I'm a 7-figure power advisor. I have, over the last 4 years or so, carved out my own path. Like, it was hard to get here. This is not like, oh, yeah, I did it, you can do it too. I mean, fundamentally, yes, I did it and you can do it too, but it was so hard. And it was all on the inside. It had nothing to do with work. It had everything to do with internal transformation, which is what I teach my clients to do. They get from me what they cannot get anywhere else. I started when I came back out, because I was a coach starting in 2011, and then I retreated, went through depression. When I came back out as a healer, because that's actually what I was doing and I didn't realize it. Then I started declaring business coaching because I really wanted to get into power and money for women entrepreneurs. It wasn't even a Melanin thing, it was all women. And so this is the good news right here. I'm gonna go forward and then I'm gonna take it back. The good news here is, because you are different. See, the world tells you that being different makes you a problem, makes you a troublemaker. They want to demonize you. Like, even as I say this right now, I want to slice somebody's throat because it angers me. I've learned how to alchemize this anger and use it. That's actually part of how I've been able to create my money, is like, oh, you want to try to make me wrong for being bright and gifted? Bitch, I'm getting rich, bitch, with my gifts, with my difference, bitch, right? Because does anybody relate to what it is that I'm saying? Like, is anybody feeling me? Like, let me know. It matters to me. And so the good news is that with you being different, that makes you stand out in the marketplace when you start to have the courage and the audacity to showcase your difference, versus being that scared 12-year-old or that scared 16-year-old that you were taught to be. Is this making sense? And I know sometimes when I do these lives on the Facebook group, all the comments don't show up immediately. So, and I can't look on my phone because I got YouTube going. So I'll have to see it later if you guys are saying things and I'm missing it. I see Grace said yes. That was some time ago. And then Barbara said Ashe. So what happened was, what I teach my clients, what I unleash in my clients is a result of me doing this work. Okay, it's been a result of me going the uncharted path, making lots of very painful and difficult decisions, oftentimes alone. Like, you guys have me. Like, I didn't have me. I wish I had me 6 years ago. And so when I came back out into the marketplace, it was such a fierce, it was like, whoa, it was aggressive. It was, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be who I am. Because keep in mind, I have been struggling for a while. I have been struggling. And Can you relate to this? Like being immensely powerful and you know it. Like you're clear. You're not like, I think I'm powerful. I think I have gifts. You know it, but then your reality reflects no money. Like I wasn't able to pay my $75 cell phone bill. I was sleeping on my mother's couch. Like that fucks you up. It fucked me up. And I was like, I'm not about to, like, I'm either going to do this or God, I'm not going to be on planet Earth. Like, that was the deal, the real conversation I had with God. Like, I'm either going to do this. So it was just me and God because there was nobody in my corner that could speak to my deeper interior of self in a way that was all the way true. All the way true. And so I came out, Heal Sex Shame was the brand. Heal Sex Shame, Heal Sex Shame. Now see, today, talking about healing sexual trauma online is normal. I just saw a Facebook ad today where a woman was talking about a podcast she has where she's talking about how do you as a woman, if you've been molested as a child, come out powerfully as an entrepreneur. That's today. In 2014, 2013, nobody was talking like that. And I know that was just 14, 15, 5 years ago. 5 years is a long damn time in modern times, okay? Nobody, so just imagine what it was like for me to come out into the marketplace in 2014 and be talking about being sexually molested, sexual power, sexual abuse, sexual trauma, self-hate, self-loathing, the poisonous side of self when you're quiet and traumatized and afraid and alone. Like, I was on some serious God shit. I was on some, and this is what's required of you. I'm sharing this with you so you know that like, this is what it looks like and this is what will be required of you and how blessed and lucky you are to have me here today. And even more so when you and I end up working together, or for those of you who are already working with me. So I came out and my brand was Heal Sex Shame. All I did was help women heal sexual trauma. There was no dealing in money and creating big money and none of that. It was all about heal sexual trauma. And so I shared what had been my secret unorthodox path to healing sexual trauma. And the money started pouring in. I made my first 6 figures in 18 months being my unique anomaly melanin messenger self, talking about things that took me months of internal like collapse to really get clean on the inside, to really purify and to really get okay with the gruesomeness that was inside of me. The like fucking self-hate, pathetic, dirty, ugly bitch self. And like alchemizing that shit, turning it into gold and then bringing it to the marketplace for money. Now it's cute today, like it's more normal today. So you, particularly for white girls, it's more normal. For black girls, it's still like a wow kind of thing, okay? Which is why, as a melanin messenger, you have such great opportunity if you really believe in your hearts of heart that your ideal client are women of color. Because it has become more okay. First of all, it's okay for all of us, but it has become more okay for white women to come out and talk like this than it has been or typically has been for women of color. So you come out with your whatever it is. Like your thing could be struggling with IVF or in vitro and overcoming that. Your thing could be you were born in poverty and you learned how to fill in the blank, right? My thing was healing sexual trauma and not only that, but really allowing my gifted self to show. Even talking about it, acknowledging it, claiming it publicly. And so I did 18 months, I did 6 figures and multiple 6 figures and then 7 figures. Now, but keep in mind, the Heal Sex Shame brand, I ended up killing that off because I was ascending and I was ready to really start stepping into bigger numbers consistently. And that's when my new brand, Opulent Living, was born. Okay. And so what this is the next piece I want to share here. 99.9% of the seven figures that I've created over the last few years has come from white women. When I look at the Black women who have come to me, particularly over the last 4 months or so, because Melanin Messengers is new. Like, you guys have heard of the brands, right? And even in 2011, my brand was $1 Billion Courage. Like, I've been at this, okay? When I started talking about Melanin Messengers, I think it was December, maybe January of this year. So now more Black women are showing up in my sphere. And they did in the past, but it's different now because I'm declaring Melanin Messengers. There's this thought for a lot of Black women that all of their money is going to come from Black women. When the truth is, here's the truth. When you are an Anomaly Melanin Messenger, you're gifted, period. Your gifts have nothing to do with race. You're gifted, period. The thought that, and this might be subconscious, it seems to be subconscious for more Black women. This subconscious thought that your money is going to come from Black women only is very likely untrue. When I look back over my career, particularly over the last 4 years, these white women were coming to me for something, first of all, that they know they couldn't get, period, because when you're an anomaly, you have gifts that nobody else have. Now, see, that might be a hard thing to embrace because you've already been conditioned to think that you're insignificant and your gifts mean nothing. That's part of what fucks us up. And we've been taught this since, who knows, 5 years old, since the bullying started, since your mom, did weird shit in the house because she was intimidated by your gifted self. Who knows, right? And so they will come to you, one, because you're an anomaly, but they're not going to come until you acknowledge that. And when I came back out into the marketplace, my acknowledgement, my conversation with God was, I know I got it, and we're either going to go in on this seriously, or I'm not going to fucking be on planet Earth. Like, that was, I know. So they're going to come to you, one, for that. Two, because... and the world just is going to totally rip you. They just throw so many messages that speak to the opposite of what I'm getting ready to say. You have things as a Black woman that white women don't have. As soon as you own that from the base of your pussy, through your whole body, you got it. You know how, you're going to have to get that. That's what you get working with me. That's what you get. And when any woman, see, and what would happen is these white women would come to me 1 week, 30 days, 4 months, they just closing 5-figure deals like that. Meanwhile, Black woman just staring at me, showing up to shit like this, just watching, convinced of all the lies and the trauma that she's either inherited or actually experienced or have been told for her whole goddamn life. This is what I mean by you got shit that white women don't have, and they have the privilege of being oblivious to the shit that you got, the shit that you inherited. Soon as you flip that shit, as soon as you get it, when I say get it, I mean like nobody can tell you otherwise. You live it, you walk it, you talk it. What happens is you vibrate it. You don't even have to say it. You are it. When you show up on video, people look at you and they get it. This is so much higher and deeper than what most people are aware of, can model, can talk to you about, especially for Black women. What I'm telling you, they have lied, they have lied, they have lied, they have lied. And it's going to take some work. When I look at like what life was like for me, like in my body, in my mind, to like lay in the bed with myself, to, sit and just to be myself prior to me really coming out unapologetically in the marketplace, there was a lot of terror, lots of looking for permission in unconscious ways. There was lots of that. Lots of terror, lots of terror. Because I was the only one. This is why I know what it's like to be the first. I know what it's like to be a Black woman publicly powerful. And I'm even right now going into a whole new space of being publicly powerful, because before I was not talking about Black women, not the way I am now. I mean, I might say something that was relevant as it related to Black women 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but directly, and then also speaking to the original power that we are. Now, let me get into this original piece. Your riches come from originality. Write that down. Your riches come from reality, which means everything that you've been holding since you were 2 years old, since you were born, that must be unleashed. That's where your riches is. That's where your 5-figure clients are. That's where your 6-figure clients are. That is where your riches are, financially and otherwise. That's why you always hear me talking about your signature work. Nobody can duplicate your signature work. This will be the hardest work you will birth, and this is what I help my clients to do. Your signature work. That's what sets you apart in the marketplace. That's what makes you vibrate in a way that people, I don't even worry about competition. Like, how does that, you don't have what I have. You weren't born with what I was born with. There's no competition in that. So that's how you have a mind fuck, because the mind says, the industry says, the world says, oh, your competition, you've been pricing based on, and let me get into the 2 points here about the pricing, right? Your pricing has been based on comparing your prices to what people in your industry are doing, okay? So what I'm getting ready to do, first of all, let me do a transition right now. I'm getting ready to end right here on YouTube. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, I encourage you to go to 5-figure clients for Melanin Messengers on Facebook, and you will gladly be accepted into that group so you can watch the rest